Hello everyone. Today I'm here to ask a simple question. Is an exact copy of Bendy possible? Or any cartoon character for that matter? These are just some speculations I've had so far. I am here to argue that we have a potential for a good, or at least a different Bendy in store. But so far as a perfect iteration of him, we might not get exactly what we expect. What would we get? And what would we have to do to get it? I am curious as to what a perfect or completely transformed Bendy would even look like. In case I must warn you, there will be spoilers for Chapter 4 here. Don't say I didn't warn you. We are all sure of what an incomplete Bendy looks like, if the walking corpse of a creature chasing after you in-game is anything to go by. Literal walking corpse of an angry, festering demon couldn't be further away from our toon narration. We have to ask ourselves, what went wrong? Why was this the result? Was the host incompatible with the character? Did something go wrong with the procedure? Was this a result of the gods being displeased and it resulted in punishment for that poor victim? If he's a poor victim to begin with. As far as I can tell, no one has tried to make another Bendy. There are dozens of Dead Boars copies lying around, at least 2 angel variants, and many ink bodies of the lost ones, but only one malformed Bendy so far. If we are going by match or compatibility, Henry might be a worthy candidate. Not to sound evil or scientific here, I'm trying to be realistic. We do not know if the transformation is through magic, divine intervention from a greater being, or alchemy of some kind. Anything can go horribly wrong or irreversibly right. Should Henry go through the tragic event of becoming a variant of Bendy, he would more than likely look nothing like the ink demon running around now. But I have complete doubt that he will look much like the cartoon Bendy we have and love. I will be using Susie and Allison for my next example. For those of you who have seen or played the newest chapter of Bendy and the Ink Machine, you would know that we have a brand new Alice. For some reason. Mixed feelings about that. But I have always been mixed on Alice since day one, and there are many reasons why. I will observe the character and the 2 voice actresses for her. Judging from how they formed, despite Susie being the original voice, Allison might have been the better match. However, transforming from human to cartoon might have been an emotionally fueled experience. Whatever emotions or mental state you were enduring or before the transformation might have been amplified, affecting how one changes into their assigned character. Perhaps Allison was in a better mental state, or the ritual was just performed better. I am not entirely sure, but it is worth considering. I wish to delve deeper into Susie and Allison's differences, past the more obvious ones of course. Notice that based on what humans seem to have been used to make said toon, they retained their unique physical characteristics. The Alice Susie was used to make, if you ignore the mutated growths and forkless more on the opposite side of her face, you would notice that she still retains a fairly humanoid look. Now look at the Alice made from Allison. If there were a perfect Alice clone, why isn't there a set look for them? I don't mean the standard high-cut eyes and little black dress. I mean, why aren't there features for them that look the exact same regardless of them being perfect or not? Why do they both have different facial structures and lip sizes? It's like they are the same species, but are 2 different individuals. Let's start with Susie. First though, I wanted to address that I was among many who thought the first Alice we got was a hybrid of Susie and Allison, and that they battled for dominance within the same body. Turns out that Alice may have had a split personality developing. We know that Susie, when she was human, was a seasoned voice actress who voiced many characters. She could easily change her pitch on whim. So her voice altering in her Alice form possibly stemmed from her mood swings and personalities. She has similarities to Bugs Bunny's original voice actor as well, Mel Black, the man of 1,000 voices. It was said that when he had an accident, he had entered a coma for a few days. The doctors would speak to him in said coma, and he would respond in different character voices, including Bud's. Perhaps this was a shift in voice, was subconscious for Susie as well. Now back to Susie's features. Ignoring the growths on her right side, Susie Alice has a more rounded, almost square-shaped face, with a smaller chin that ends more abruptly. She has a natural mole on her left cheek, or is it more drawn on? Not entirely sure, but it doesn't seem that Allison shares this feature. She has smaller set eyes and an almond shape that are fairly light in color, very thin, almost drawn on eyebrows. A more sketched look, like she is a living concept art, like an early draft of Alice, which is interesting because she was the original voice actress. Medium-length shoulder blade hair. Although I am not sure if you can change your hair much once you're a toon, it is something to notice. She has very thin, slender lips as well. These may be clues as to what Susie may have looked like back when she was human. All these facial features that have been carried over from Susie's human body that aren't that apparent in the toon iteration of Alice. A side theory, and something I am curious about, is why Susie's ink body was so mutilated the second time she was reborn. In the Haunted House ride, Susie speaks about how she was promised she would become beautiful. Susie's last name plays a hint to her off-worn face in her second phase. The surname, Campbell, is an old Scottish nickname for crooked mouth or wire mouth. When Susie is turned into Alice, for the second time presumably, she has a very visible wound or a gaping crooked mouth on the right side of her face. Obvious, right? My question is, were these injuries present when she was human? And if they were, was she born with some kind of cleft lip, or were these old injuries somebody else made on her? Perhaps this was something she was severely insecure about as time went on. She became obsessed with what remained of her beauty, and what she could do to get past her scars. This became so bad that she found it difficult to overlook and ended up undervaluing her vast skill pool. I fully believe that Susie Campbell was a talented woman, but her insecurities and longing for admiration made her vulnerable for exploitation. Joey, or someone at the studio, promised her beauty, fixing her face on the opposite side, and love. To have someone look upon her and see her as worthy, and not just viewed by her scars. Could be wrong though, but that's what makes theories fun. Now on to Allison. We know next to nothing about Allison. All we know, or have, are some clues of what she might have looked like back as a human, and that she served to replace Susie. I can't speak on her too much, but her version of Alice looks very different than Susie's. Going by Allison's physical features, her facial shape is more oval and slender, with a gradual taper to a more prominent chin. No visible moles or facial marks. Then again, her bangs don't help. They're kind of in the way. She has larger, more rounded eyes, with irises that are darker in shade than Susie's. Allison's eyebrows are a little bit thicker and taper more visibly at the ends. She does appear to be a little more expressive, but that's from what I've seen. Allison has larger, fuller lips that are slightly higher on her face compared to Susie's. Longer, sleeker hair that is tied in a ponytail and possibly linked waist. And two bangs that obscure her face, which, again, made it difficult to tell her face a bit. Like, I don't know how people can have those long side bangs on the side of their face. I've done it before and it made it difficult to see. Constantly got in my eye, which is why I always had bangs and had my hair completely tight. But that is besides the point. Right to the side, not sure if this counts, but had Susie's Alice not have had growths on the side of her face and had a gaping wound as well. She, and this is speculation, probably would have been closer to cartoon Alice's design than Allison was. However, I will add that has a cleaner design, at least on the more completed parts of it. Like she was some kind of redesign or a cleaner concept. She doesn't have a stitch and hook to her as Allison's Alice, but Susie's Alice does. This is confusing. It's very confusing, but we will get through this. Rather, some things are more refined. I find this comparable to Betty Boop in a way in her earlier iterations. Betty Boop started off as a French poodle. She wasn't that cute. Look, I know beauty is subjective, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder, remember that. And in my mind's eye, that poodle design convinced me. But that aside, she started off as a French poodle, and over time, Betty Boop started to resemble a more cute humanoid dog creature, before ending up as the classic design that we are now. I wanted you to look at that and look at her hoop earrings and realize that those used to be hoopy ears. You can never unsee it. That aside, there is no guarantee how many times Alice might have been altered or redesigned during her small career. Even a few changes could make for a completely different character, even voice acting. So, it would probably make sense as to why Allison and Susie ended up making two different Alices to begin with. My point with all of this is, there was never going to be a perfect Alice, just a Alice. One or more that looks more put together or closer or completely different yet functional, but not a perfect copy of cartoon Alice. No matter what body you used, even if the individual was compatible, the toon character would still look more like the base organism used, and not look exactly like the cartoon character. Why do you think Allison and Susie still have two different eye shapes and facial structures? Why aren't there the same facial features for both of them if they are Alice? Why aren't they the same shape and size? If that makes sense. I will even go as far as to say that the Looney Tunes character retains more of the sacrificed person's mannerisms and personality than they do their cartoon models. This retaining of the original organism's personality also applies to the more cartoonish Toon as well as the more human Toons. We don't know who the base was for the perfect Forrest before Alice got him. So for like this I feel like he might have been Molly or someone or some other maintenance worker. However, I feel it is safe to assume that the Boris at the end of chapter 4 was Thomas Connor as his base. Mostly because someone looked into the game files and saw that the character's name was Tom, but back to my point. The Tom Boris is little like Henry's friend Boris, who share physical characteristics but exhibit little behavior in common. I feel like they have little behavior in common, being that most of this I've gathered for the whole 5 seconds that Tom appeared on screen. But people have made theories from shorter screen time. Anyway, Thomas was a person who was gruff, stern, said it like it was. He might have carried a stern look on his face to go with his general disposition. The Tom Boris we got had a scowling expression with a stronger, more imposing posture about him, almost confrontational. His demeanor screamed fighting. But that's what I got it. These traits reflect Connor, but what are these traits are reflected in the human Tom Boris? Our Boris. The docile, seemingly childlike and non-confrontational. It's almost as if they're two different people, and not merely the same copies of one person. This is a side note, but I am almost convinced that the toon personalities themselves don't even exist much, and that the people used to create these toons act as both the physical medium and the conscious as well. It is not the toon that acts, but merely what is left of the person. The toon is the shell, if you will, while the human sacrifice gives them the mind and drive. Could be wrong. Now, how and why does all of this apply to Henry and the Pacific family? It's simple, I don't think there is any real toon character, as in the literal cartoon characters themselves. The closest you will get is the physical look. A different version varying from person to person. You can have a good Bendy, but never a real, literal, off-the-page Bendy. The ink machine might be a hellish 3D printer that uses paper as paper. Whatever type of paper you use instead, printer alters the result of the printing. Print paper in air quotes. Then again, the ink instead machine could be mixed with the image blood or something like that. We don't know. We're not sure. We aren't hinted as to what this stuff is made of, or even what properties the ink machine is based off of. But to be honest with you, from what I've seen at that studio, I'm not quite sure I want to know. Regardless, the proclaimed perfect Boris acted little like his toon iteration and behaved completely differently in many aspects. When short has Boris ever shown any sort of ingenuity and maintenance? Good with any tools or anything? The toon Boris was a prankster as well, but that was shown later. Behavior that Henry's companion Boris shown even less. However, Henry's Boris exhibited more behavior similar to Wally's pranks, and is going to kill me a little bit inside should I ever find out that Wally wasn't the base for our Boris, but instead someone else. Because wow, would that throw a wrench in a lot of people's theories. It all comes to this. Should we ever get a good or complete Bendy, it will behave and probably look pretty differently from his toon iteration. Whomever Bendy's new base is shall be the core of his person. I am willing to dabble that whomever has a strong connection with him or has a similar disposition would probably form better than any other candidate. I say dabble because Susie was said to have a strong connection with Alice, but turned out wrong. Like, half-formed in a way? Was her connection not strong enough? Or maybe it was twisted over time. And if you look past Alice's well-formed face and torso, not much else turned out well for her either. She and Susie have blackened, ink-stained limbs that don't look like they've formed all the way. Kind of like they're still in their cocoon state. Imagine a butterfly still stuck in its chrysalis. Will this new Bendy be malformed like our two Alices, or look a little more put together like our Boris? Will he look humanoid or cartoonish? That is a good question, and I am pretty scared to the answer. Bendy is a cute character as a toon, which means it's going to be really easy to walk into uncanny valley territory should it ever transform a certain way. Then we have Henry. Many have speculated that either Henry will be turned into Bendy later, or he already is a Bendy at this point. Both would make a lot of sense in story. And it's a theory I'm quite partial to myself, but not completely attached to. The whole Alice being a hybrid of Susie and Allison thing kind of flopped, and the Meatly loves to kind of throw a wrench in some of our theories with some twists and turns. So, who knows? Heck, the Ink Demon might actually be Grant and not Joey. Or he could be some other character. There's no guarantee. We've all been convinced that this creature trying to kill us in game is Joey, and it turns out probably at the last minute it's not even him. Joey's been sitting around somewhere all cushy while you get this creature doing dirty work. Who knows? That's the best part about it. We don't know. But it's also irritating because we want to know. Oh, wait a second. That about wraps up my thoughts on the matter. Should we get a Bendy at some point? Anyone besides the Ink Demon in the studio? I feel like it will either most likely be Henry or something that's relatively functional, like someone who was compatible enough with Bendy for them to be a little more functioning than the one we have now. It's hard to say. And even with Henry, we don't even know how the ritual would go, or if he would even make a decent Bendy. We think it, but there's other factors that would turn out pretty terrible for him, like if the ritual was done wrong, or even if he does have a strong connection, whatever mental state he could be in could probably corrupt it too, like it did for Susie or Allison. Or a huge number of things could go wrong here. But at the same time, I guess any of them will be better than the one we have now. Stick with the ones you know. So I wanted to thank you guys for hearing me out. This is my first narrated video. I don't think I'm going to make very many of these, but I did want to voice some thoughts on one of my favorite games out right now. Regardless, I'm pretty curious as to what Harry would even look like himself, even before the transformation, which hopefully doesn't have to happen, because being changed into like a completely different species would suck, unless you like really want it, but generally if you're content with really what you are, and you're forcibly changed into something else, that sounds like a horrifying idea. But even still, I might do another theory. I'm hoping to get better at this, but still appreciate you stopping by, and come share some of your theories down in the description with me as well. I'm open to discussion. I like talking about theories and possible things that might happen in the near future. It's good to speculate. It's always fun. Gets the brain going. But wherever or whoever you may be, I hope you have a good day, and that maybe this brought up something you might want to discuss later, and I'll see you around.